Love supreme, love supreme, love supreme, love supreme. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Unsung Season 13, and this episode is on Will Downing. I'm sorry I had to sing a piece of Love Supreme because I am a huge fan of Will Downing. I even have some of his music in my music collection, and I grew up listening to him because my mom is a big jazz fan, as I definitely mentioned this in some of my other reviews, that yeah, my mother loved jazz, so I have a big jazz ear because of her. And she definitely was a big fan of Will Downing, and she thought he was sexy too. So she always let me know. It was him and Luther. Him and Luther were her men. And I remember listening to she had the album with Love Supreme on it, and I used to love that song because she used to play it a lot. And then definitely hearing that they finally had done an episode on him on Unsung, I was like, oh, I'm so here for this. Because I grew up with Will Downing, and Will Downing was definitely played in my house. But he has this rich, beautiful baritone, and I'm a singer myself, and I actually sing first tenor. So even though his voice is a lot deeper than mine, but the way that he sings is so rich and so silky that it literally makes it really just kind of it grabs your attention. And it kind of stops you dead in your tracks. Because, like, just hearing his voice sometimes, I'm like, damn, how do you do that? Just a rich voice. Just as silky. And I'm pretty sure that, I'm pretty sure his wife loves hearing him sing. Because he has that kind of voice that he can soothe a baby to sleep. That's how beautiful his voice is. Just a beautiful baritone, and it's just remarkable. And you had the likes of Regina Bell and Kenny Lattimore, who were commenting on this episode, and also another track that I definitely love was when he redid Angela Bofield's "I Try." I mean, his version was so unique and so different from hers. Same song, but his was a totally different body of work. And I also had to say the same thing for the song "I Go Crazy," which is one of his signature songs. He even said, if I don't do that song in a concert, they'll probably chase me down and kill me, because that's a song that he gets a lot of recognition from. "I Go Crazy," which was also, I think, another redo from Paul Davis. And I've listened to Paul Davis' version, but I love Will's better. Will had a totally different sound to his. But yeah, "I Go Crazy" is definitely a song that I love. I mean, it's a beautiful song. I even did it at karaoke once. It was fun, but it's that kind of song where you just have to just sing. You don't have to overdo it. You don't have to, strain. It's just a beautiful song, like, it's about love. When I look in your eyes, I just go crazy, because I just have this feeling inside that I just can't let go. It's a beautiful track, and he does it beautifully, and he definitely got the nickname Chocolate, or Chocolate Thunder, because hey, chocolate is always beautiful, baby. And yeah, and it melts in your mouth and not in your hand. But I'm just saying. All right, but then they also talk about that he had this health crisis that nearly not only crippled his career, but also damn near crippled his life as well. And I'm gonna get into that. But starting off, they talk about his upbringing. He was born in 1963 in Brooklyn. He was the youngest of 4 children. His mom, I think, was a teacher, and his father was a post office worker, so he learned the importance of education and hard work, and those things drove him. But the thing is, he didn't even want to be a singer. He wanted to be in basketball. That was like his thing. He met producer Barry Eastman. They went to junior high together, and that's when he heard him sing for the first time because they were in the chorus together. And I think his chorus teacher wanted to put him in this special chorus, but they met on Saturdays, and he flat told her, "Oh no, I'm not doing that." Oh no, on Saturday too? Oh hell no. But by the time he got home, his mother knew about it. His mother was like, "You're going to that chorus on Saturday. You're going." So, but he said at first he wasn't really feeling it. But he said, but after a while, he started to like it, especially because there were girls there. So he said it was kind of like a triangle, like him and the women. You know, they made a perfect triangle. You know, him, the women, and music. So he's like, I got something here. So he also went to Erasmus Hall High School, which was a performance arts school, which actually the likes of, and also they had an alumni, you know, from the likes of Stephanie Mills and Barbara Streisand went to that high school. And just like them, you know, while he was there, he stood out. He was different. You know, like, you know, when it came down to performances, you know, the big names at the time were like, you know, the Commodores, Larry Graham, One in a Million, but he would sing Al Jarreau, you know, and Al Jarreau at that time was just mainly had a jazz audience, but later on in the 80s he kind of crossed over, you know, into mainstream pop. But at that time, you know, Al Jarreau was only known to like, you know, jazz heads. So he was different. He had a different flair about him. And I think that's what makes Will Downing so special, because he has this jazz upbringing, but then he can also do R&B and can also do up-tempo songs as well. And his voice can fit all of that. Well, he actually got into college, but he ended up leaving, you know, to pursue his singing career. He also got work, you know, doing backup singing for the likes of like Jennifer Holliday and Regina Bell. And you know, and it was around this time that he, you know, met his first wife, Ravonda Mills. They got married in '83, and think they had 2 kids, a boy and a girl. And then later on, you know, he ends up getting a contract with Island Records. You know, Island Records was infamous, you know, with you know, Chris Blackwell being at the helm. And, you know, Island Records was the label that had U2, Bob Marley, and even Grace Jones. So that was the label that signed him. And the first song he came out in '87, his '87 debut, was Free, which was a cover by Denise Williams. Definitely very melodic, very beautiful, and he had his own style, which was totally, it was a totally different song for Will than it was for, you know, Denise. And, you know, even though it was a great song, it didn't do well on the charts, and he started to get the moniker as the poor man's Luther, you know. But he said that, look, if I want to be compared to somebody, it would be Luther, because Luther definitely was kind of like the pinnacle of black male singers at that time. And, you know, they definitely come from the same class, because, you know, Luther was also into jazz and R&B as well. So, you know, and also, you know, the same thing that Will would do, Luther would do the same. Like, he would get like a standard or a track that was recorded for someone else, take it and make it his own. And Will, the same way, you know, did the same thing. And he did that with Free, as well as with songs I Go Crazy and I Try. So definitely. And Love Supreme was also a cover too. It was a cover of John Coltrane, but he, you know, wrote the lyrics to that. And Love Supreme was a beautiful song, and I remember that when it came out in '80. I remember as a little boy, that song, my mom used to play that around the house when we lived in California. So I definitely remember that song. And it definitely had like a house beat, so it was also big on the dance track, it was also big, you know, on the dance, in the dance, Forgive me, y'all. I get tongue tied. It was very big on the dance floor as well, and in some of the clubs. It didn't do too well here in the U.S., but it hit number 14 in England. So he really started to become very big in the UK before he became big here in the U.S. But that was also a good thing though, because it was kind of the same thing with Hendrix. Hendrix didn't really break big in the U.S. And when he went to the UK, he developed this audience, which then put him over the top when he came back to America. And it was kind of some of the similar thing that happened with Will Downing. He even did a recover of "Where's the Love," a song written, song by Donny Hathaway and Roberta Flack. He did it with Misha Parrish, who's a very big talent in Britain, and I've definitely seen her in a lot of documentaries, about Whitney and about Prince. She's definitely a phenomenal talent and has a beautiful voice. But the two of them did the duet, and it went on the top 20 in the UK. And it kind of bothered him a lot, because here it is, he was celebrated in the UK, but was pretty much unknown in his own country. And he said it bothered him. So when it came down to his third album, they wanted to do an album of just up-tempo songs, because he's had success. His earlier releases were like up-tempo, even Free. They were all up-tempo, and he's like, they wanted to do a whole album with just up-tempo songs. He was like, no, I want to do something different. I want to kind of approach this a different way. Well, Chris Blackwell and him had a meeting, and Blackwell told him that, okay, we'll do it your way, but if it doesn't sell, I'm cutting half of your budget, and then from that point on, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. So he took the gamble, and with the album Dream Fulfilled, the first song that came off of that was I Try, and that reached top 20 of the US charts. So he pretty much won the bet and said, see, I told you. Now you got a hit in America, because I chose to be me. And he began to get the name the Prince of Sophisticated Soul. And then he talks about when how he got the nickname Chocolate when he was on tour and he's performing, and there was this woman in the audience was like, you better sing, you chocolate bastard, you better sing, Chocolate. And he said that the people in the audience was laughing, but that name Chocolate stuck with him from that point on. And the thing about it, my mother definitely liked him because he was chocolate, because my mother loves chocolate men. So she was like, yes. So yes, mom had a thing for you too, Will. Just letting you know. And then also I think on that album was when he had did the song I Go Crazy, which was a cover of Paul Davis's song, but I loved his version. His version was everything. and pretty much, as I said, it's one of his signature songs that even to this day he says, if I don't perform I Go Crazy, they will probably chase me down and kill me. So I have to sing that song no matter what. That's one song that is definitely a part of his that is a part of his repertoire. And also James D. Train Williams, another one of my favorite artists, he definitely was doing commentating on this episode as well. And then he was saying that then like after this he ends up getting a new label deal with Mercury Records to do 3 albums, and he wanted to have more of a creative control and a creative say off of his project, because he says that, look, I'm an artist, and an artist paint, an artist creates. They're not robots. They add different flair and different ideas to whatever it is they do. But they said, like, within this time frame, after, within those 3 albums or whatever, his marriage had fell apart because he cheated on his wife. And he pretty much said that he was chasing a dream and he got caught up. And that happens to the best of people. Like, getting into the industry can be a challenge on any relationship. So that was real. But then, you know, he talks about the song "Sorry I," which a song that he did, you know, in dedication to his now ex-wife, you know, about how the way he treated her. And they divorced, but they still are on good terms now. But she was even emotional when she talked about how they would have these conversations about how people get trapped in the industry, but yet she was like, you knew this, and yet you still did what you did. And we can still even see to this day she still got love for him, but even though they're not married anymore, they still have 2 children together, and they still have a good rapport with each other. And he pretty much, Sorry I was pretty much an ode to his failing marriage. And then within 8 years, he did 7 albums, had 4 top 3 jazz hits on the charts, you know, and he pretty much cultivated his artistry, which was great. And also he met Audrey Willer, who he was friends with for years. She's a fellow artist herself. They got married in 2002, and they have a daughter, Asia. They're still married to this day, and they said that the main thing that they kept in their marriage is that they were friends first, and they keep the friendship. And they said without the friendship, you don't have anything. So at the end of the day, before the romance, before all of that, you have to be friends first. And me and him are the best of friends. And I was like, that's amazing. And then they also talk about his Christmas album, Christmas Loving You, which went number 4 on the jazz charts, how he took a lot of these Christmas standards and made them his own and jazzed them up. And, you know, and the great thing about him is that he's his own artist, and he sets the trend for what he's going to produce and what he's going to present. And I respect that. I respect true artistry and true creativity. So I definitely like that, because, you know, Will Downing could get a piece of music, and once he gets done with it, it's a Will Downing song. It takes a true artist to do that. But they also talked about, you know, he also had a very serious health issue where he had, you know, fell down the stairs, and they later on found out that he had this condition called Penalicitis, I think it was called. And if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But it's pretty much a disease that actually attacks your bone structure, and it also attacks your muscles, I think, too. So he literally was damn near paralyzed. He had lost over 100 pounds. He could barely eat. And when he was actually talking about this, he broke down and cried, because it was a very hard time where it literally was like it looked like as if everything was about to be over. You know, they wanted to, you know, give him a feeding tube. He didn't want it because they said, you're not going to cut my throat. So, you know, he really went through a rough time, but eventually, you know, while he was still recuperating, he did the album After Midnight, which one of the songs on the album was God Is So Amazing, which he began to give honor and praise to the Lord, because the Lord he thought that he was never going to be able to sing again. He thought that he was never going to be able to walk again, because his diagnosis was that severe that they thought that his career was over. So he gave honor and homage to God, because God pulled him through, and that album went to number 1. because you know, that album, you know, was like a rebirth, because he was still sick and was still kind of in the bed most of the time, but he had his voice, so he made it work. And it just goes to show you, like, when you do what you love and you do what you're passionate about, you will make it happen hell or high water, because it's something that's innate in you. It's in your blood. And him being an artist and him being a musician is in his blood. And even through the worst time, he still created something beautiful. And then he not only that, he's also done more albums. He's also went into photography. You know, one of his idols is Stevie Wonder. He did pictures with Stevie. and then he did this book of photography called Unveiled, and he said Unveiled is like Unsung. You know, it's showcasing artists that are some of my favorites, but may not be known mainstream. But now we give them, and pretty much me showcasing them in my photography. You know, they get to be seen by a new audience and by, you know, new fans. So I thought that was genius. And, you know, pretty much his marriage is still strong. You know, and also he's still going strong as an artist. He's still touring, he's still performing. He's now back to walking on his own now. So, you know, thank the Lord that he was able to recover and now he's got back his full strength. But it actually, I think going through that process made him a stronger man. It made him a stronger artist. And it definitely made him, you know, more resilient, you know, within his music and within who he is. And definitely another track that I love of his was a duet that he did with Rochelle Farrell. What's the name of that song? I think it was called I Never Felt Love Like This. But you know, when she does her part, I'm into it. But then when he comes in and it's like, and more, what can I do to deserve her? I'm just like, damn, that just takes me out. Just his entrance into that duet just literally... I remember one time I was just in the car with my mom and the song was on the radio. And I love Rochelle Farrell. I'm a big fan of hers as well. But then, you know, they did this duet together and then all of a sudden when his part came in, I'm like, what? Damn! I was just like, I love his... I've always been a fan of his voice. And that at the time I was just like, what the... like, no, I'm loving this. And it became like a song that, you know, I mean, I actually have the one of his best of CDs and that song is on it. So, and I love his entry into that part. I love his voice. You know, that silky baritone. That baritone that could just grab your attention because he's so unique and so different. You know, and I actually say this was a really good episode of Unsung, and I'm glad they finally showcased Will Downing because he's definitely a legend, and he definitely deserved, you know, he definitely deserved this episode because there's such great music from him. I mean, the man did, you know, so many different albums, has so many hits over the years. And I'm so glad that he was celebrated in this Unsung episode. But yeah, y'all need to definitely give him, y'all definitely need to be giving him a Lifetime Achievement Grammy. Y'all need to definitely start paying homage to this man because he's so well deserved. So that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to talk to you about it. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, follow me on all of my social platforms. I have them all listed in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I'll be back with the next episode of Unsung. So until next time, everybody, take care.